Reflections on Campout 2023. Between the 10th and the 13th of August last weekend, we got together for the annual Campout gathering. It's the fifth Campout gathering that's taken place, and it's only the second that I've had the pleasure of being involved with. And it was such a magnificent event. I'm actually lost for words even coming into this discussion about what Campout represented and all the beautiful magical moments that unfolded. In fact, only just coming back to the real world. Those of you who've been to a festival-like experience in the past will know, it's kind of you exist in a bubble for 3 or 4 days or however long you're part of the event, and then come back into the real life feeling usually a little bit more tired, no matter how rejuvenating the experience. But I want to kind of share some of the brief takeaways from the overall experience, because it was such a diverse and wide range. We covered a whole range of subjects and experiences over 4 days. A packed program, 3 different stages, over 300 people in attendance, over 60 different performers. It was a full and a full-on experience. Now, we kind of build the event as a counterculture experience, building the new counterculture. Well, firstly, what does that mean? Well, for those of you who have been watching the Pandemic podcast over the last few years, I'm sure you'll agree that we've kind of found ourselves in the midst of this real fear-based paradigm right now. And, it's no surprise that the Collins word of the year last year was perma-crisis. And it seems like everything is now a crisis or an emergency, whether it's the COVID situation, whether it's the climate, whether it's a war in Ukraine, whether it's forest fires. Everything is now amped up, sensationalized, and represented in this kind of crisis form, and everything is around fear and kind of sucking the energy, the joy de vivre out of life in a way. So counterculture on one hand is actually resisting that fear-based paradigm, but also really the kind of excess centralization of the kind of way that the planet is kind of being, or the world is now being governed, with so many decisions now taking place at kind of a very much lockstep centralized level. So the counterculture is really in resistance to that, looking at how we can return to kind of community-led change, looking at how we can become empowered on an individual level, and how we can collaborate together to make a difference in the world, how we can decentralize, how we can localize, how we can heal, how we can become healthy. Given everything we've learned over the last few years, it's quite clear that the planet isn't there. The people of the planet aren't necessarily in the best condition. So there's lots of things that we kind of want to move away from, and lots of things we want to move towards and shift the culture. And that was kind of the overarching theme of the event. And therefore we had conversations and experiences around those core areas, really looking at how we can reclaim our personal power, how we can stand in our sovereignty, but not just that for the sake of, feeling empowered and feeling a sense of possibility, although that really is at the core, or the essence rather. How we then take that sense of empowerment and sovereignty into action, and how we can find our way forward, working together in communities to co-create a brighter future. And the event was really designed to cover all of those bases. People finding themselves, finding a deeper sense of meaning, finding a sense of potential within oneself, finding our voice, reconnecting with each other, reconnecting with ourselves, reconnecting with the natural world. And looking really for the sparks, looking for the ideas, looking for the solutions that can emerge. And, it wasn't one of those events where, we kind of present to you, these are the things that we can or should be doing. And although there was some of that as well, it was really setting the container so that people could find the answers for themselves and really find within their own lives how they can contribute to building a brighter future, starting with themselves and then creating a ripple effect in their local communities and areas, and then beyond that into kind of the national, continental, international space, if you wish to really go beyond your local community. But it really starts with this localized action, which is what we wanted to inspire within people. So over the course of 4 days, lots of talks, lots of workshops, experiences, healing experiences, wellbeing experiences. We had a wellbeing village as well. There was so much going on. Quite frankly, in reflection, now a week on, I look back and think we probably overloaded that thing. It started as a very kind of organic, lots of open space in the program. But those of you who have organized an event before will know, you put the outreach out to the speakers and people who want to involve, and gradually responses come in, and then finally, as you get closer to the event, everyone says, I want to be part of this. Can I still be part of this? And all of a sudden we're like, yeah. And then the program is jam-packed. But again, as a lesson, if you think about how communities used to learn, or in tribes, they would learn from one another. The people would go out and do their thing, and they'd come back and bring the knowledge and the wisdom. They would go and find different tribes, different communities, and they would share the knowledge amongst themselves. So what we tried to foster was this sense of communal sharing, in terms of sharing the wisdom. So, you couldn't be in three or four places at once, clearly. I'd love to have done that myself. But the idea was that you would connect with others and actually get that sense of shared wisdom. So we were blessed with some wonderful weather the first few days, beautiful, bright sunshine, and in the spectacular natural grounds of Brazier's Park. It was just a lovely experience. But then we did have a little bit of rain, and everyone went into the different stages, which was great because we had really full, expansive experiences. But what have I really learned from Campout, and how can this be a catalyst for that type of counterculture? Well, firstly, there was a lot of sentiment that this is the beginning of something. I think people really locked into, or really resonated rather, with the idea that we can now resist some of the things that have gone before us, but we can also now rebuild. We can now move forward. But there was also a really beautiful sense of reconnecting and reclaiming some of the things that perhaps we've let go of, and preserving some of the things. So it's not this complete counterculture where we completely reject and throw out the old. No, it's more of a sense of, actually, let's think about what are the things that are really important to us in this present moment, in this present time, that we can amplify, that we can enhance, that we can elevate. What are the things that we've lost that we can hark back to and bring back into today's way of life? And what are some of the things that we just need to think differently about altogether? Because we've ended up in this really binary kind of this or that. I'm for the current thing, I'm against the current thing. All nuance has been lost. There's no holistic thinking, there's no nuance thinking, but also stuck in those paradigms. It was very evident as we had all these different panels and discussions, is we need some of that, cliched out of the box thinking. But it's true, sometimes we've got to step out of the box ourselves to even know we're in the box. But I think many people watching this show will know that we've been boxed in, we've metaphorically kind of caged with this kind of surveillance culture that's emerged, and the kind of restrictions and mandates that have flowed before us. And now it's about that unraveling. It's about disregarding conventional thinking, daring to dream again, defying the odds, and starting to move forward towards a more bright and beautiful future. And in order to do that, we need to have events like this to be the catalyst, be the inspiration for people to find the ideas themselves about how they can make a difference, but also find ways for us to collaborate and co-create. Because in my view, that's what a counterculture is. It's there's not a single organization out there that's going to come and fix all the problems. I think people would like it to be that simple and devolve their responsibility to such an organization. But our whole message at the event was, no, let's not go down that road again of more centralized, just taking one centralized organization in a different direction isn't the solution. We've devolved and deferred our education, we've devolved our thinking to media. There's so much that we've actually let go of responsibility for, that right now actually reclaiming responsibility is one of the key things. So the entire event was based around that premise. And it was like watching two events unfold, because we had the crew experience, the beautiful volunteers who came to help us make this event happen. Really, they were living and breathing the co-creating experience, the community co-creating experience, because they were having to deal with all the different challenges of putting on the event. Things didn't always happen as expected, and they were working busily behind the scenes to keep it all seamless. And they did an amazing job of doing that. But actually, in doing so, they then had to navigate all of those challenges that we face on a day-to-day basis when we're back in our communities, or if we're working with activists, or we're working with entrepreneurs or innovators who are looking at different solutions to move forward. We've got these whole rich tapestry of different perspectives and ideas and personalities. And people are so quick to reduce it down to egos when they don't like something. It's actually just human life, and it's the lost art of communication, in a way, a lost art of community building. And we had a wonderful experience of all of that with the crew, looking at how we deal with challenges, looking at how we manage limited resources, looking at how we build resilience, looking at how we find our own level of capacity or our own abilities and how we move beyond that and work together towards an outcome that is much bigger than ourselves. So it was almost like witnessing two events at once. We had the crew experience, which was wonderful to watch and witness despite its challenges along the way. And then we had the attendee experience, where we were trying to kind of instill that idea of how do we work more closely together? How do we still blaze our own trail, yet form partnerships and collaborations in order to tackle the bigger picture? Because it's really a fallacy that we can all just do one thing and the whole thing gets resolved. That's often the thinking that gets bandied around. We just all need to do this one thing. Well, the reality is the problems we're facing are complex. It needs many of us. And, the solution is multifaceted as a result. But what was beautiful was the energy that was created enabled people to step up into their and find their voice. People were saying that they were sharing and speaking about things that they'd not had the courage to speak about for many years because of the environment that we created at the event. It was we for those of you who watched the build up, we had all of our different principles that we shared, that we wanted to embody at the event. And that's a challenge in itself, living by those principles. But it really is what makes the difference when we have those values and principles that we seek to uphold. And I think many of us would agree that in kind of day-to-day civilian life, that those values and principles right now are diluting. We're kind of like hitting the bottom of the moral barrel, if you will. And it's really down to us to elevate the kind of moral standard that we want to create in the world and these values and principles. And it's down to us to kind of start there, because culture is downstream from politics. Politics is downstream from culture. And if we're really to create change in the world, then we need to create a counterculture right now. And that was what Campout was all about. Now, I've got a lot more to say on it. I just wanted to share my brief reflections now. I'm still processing it. I'm likely to do an online event for our members where I'll share some of the photos and the feedback that we've received and really digest some of the core themes and what we can do to move forward. But I just wanted to kind of share a snapshot of what I'm thinking right now as we are 1 week after the event took place. So look out for future events. I'm really excited now to be hosting more events like this moving forward. There's lots of, from the event itself, there's so many themes and topics that are coming up, so many experiences that people would like to have. And, Elevate as a brand, which is the brand that I launched last year, really can be that container for bringing those things together as a convener and a catalyst for these things to come to life. So thanks very much for tuning in. Please do share this, and I look forward to our next conversation on the podcast very, very soon. Good night for now, and look out for our episode tomorrow with Sam, where we, following our Campout experience, we're talking about about the power of community. And I've got a wonderful episode coming up this week with Derek Brose, which talks about freedom cell networks and how you can form networks in your local area to impact change. So lots of community focus this week. Can't wait to share this content with you.